Hi, I'm Ed Dentzel, host of the missing persons program, Unfound. And this is what's in my bag. If you're unfamiliar with that term, this is a type of video that professional disc golfers do once in a while to show other people, usually amateurs, what they're throwing out on the disc golf course. Now, of course, I am not a professional, not even close to it. But I wanted to shoot this video for a few different reasons. First of all, I do get asked a lot, Ed, what do you do when you're not working on your program, on Unfound? Well, I have another obsession besides missing persons cases. Missing persons cases will always be the #1 obsession in my life, and that I plan for that to be that way for the rest of my life. The other obsession that I have, the #2 obsession, is disc golf. I'm not going to go into all the rules and how it's played here, but if you've never heard of it before, just do a search right here on YouTube and you can see what it's all about. I was first introduced to the game in 2011 by my brother Brian. He says, Ed, there's this game, you got to check it out. And I've been trying to play seriously for about the last 8 years. Now, you should know that I've had some issues out on the course, the disc golf course, about the last 4 years. Something called the yips. You can look that up. But within the last 6 months, I think that I'm slowly getting over them, and I've been playing a lot better recently. So #1, I just wanted to pass along to the listeners who ask me, Ed, what do you do when you're not doing Unfound? Well, this is what I do. #2, the reason that I wanted to shoot this video is because being that Unfound, the YouTube channel, now has over 8,000 subscribers, something I never could have predicted when I started the program 3.5 years ago. I now have an opportunity to spread the word and give back to the sport that has given me so much. It's given me another obsession in my life, which sometimes can be good, sometimes can be bad. But it's given me a lot of enjoyment. I've met so many great people over the last 8 years playing here in Pinellas County, in Florida. It's been an enjoyment. I have to tell you that when I was introduced to disc golf, I was looking for something to do outside. I was already going to the gym, and I still go to the gym and lift weights, and I really enjoy that. I would not call that an obsession, though. It's just something that I do because I know that I need to do it. But I was looking for something to do outside, and disc golf just showed up at the right time, like I said, by my brother Brian telling me about it. And so I have the ability with the YouTube channel, of course, to spread the word about all these missing persons cases that we cover on Unfound. But I have the opportunity to tell people about this sport, once again, that I enjoy, even when I'm not playing so well. And thirdly, there are a lot of listeners out there. You should know that the demographic for Unfound and for most true crime programs are females. 80% of the audience is female, between the ages of 30 and 55. So there are a lot of mothers out there who listen to Unfound. Maybe they're looking for a new sport for their son or daughter. Disc golf is open to either gender, and there are a lot of women out there in the world who play the game very, very well, can throw really far, way further than I can, and play very well. And so boys and girls, men and women can enjoy this sport, and I'm thinking that with the demographic of Unfound, that mothers out there can spread the word to their children. Hey, have you ever heard of this sport? Maybe you should check it out. And the nice thing about disc golf is that it's a lot cheaper to play than ball golf. I'm going to be going through my bag, showing you the discs I throw, and you should understand that they're not that expensive. Most of the courses are in public parks. You can show up and play anytime that you want. And it's just a very cheap sport to play, but it's great exercise. You get a lot of walking in. A lot of the disc golf courses are very scenic, especially here in Florida with the water and the palm trees. And we even have at least one course that's right on a beach over there in Hillsborough County. And of course, when you play disc golf, you're using all of your muscles, not just your upper body, but your lower body. And I think it's a great way to stay in shape. So those are the 3 reasons. 1, people asking me what I do in my spare time when I'm not doing Unfound. Number 2, an opportunity to give back using the channel that I have with as many subscribers as I have now for the program. And thirdly, I think there are people out there who may be looking for something new to do, a new sport. And I didn't hear about this sport until I was 41 years old. So I certainly wish that I would have found out about it well before then. And this is an opportunity to make sure that doesn't happen to somebody else where they get to be in their 40s and then they find out about disc golf. So having said all of that, let's go right to my bag. I'm going to start with, and within these discs, I'm probably going to tell a little story here and there and tell you a little bit about the program as I go. I'm going to start with the putters. These are the discs you use when you are closest to the basket. It's become almost a little bit of an inside joke among myself and some of my disc golf friends that this putter has been with me, this Discmania Psycho 2 putter, P2 putter, since about 2013, about 7 years. It's the only disc that is in my bag from back then. All the other discs we're going to talk about came later. But for some reason, this disc has just stayed with me. It's very unusual because a lot of people, for some reason, switch out their putters quite often. Not me. When I find one that works, I keep it. And as you can see, a Discmania Psycho P2 putter in the P-line plastic. Very hard plastic, which is what I like. Next, another P2 putter, but it's just a little more understable. And it, I would throw this. I only use the blue one to putt within like 30 feet. This one, I don't mind throwing it up to about 120 feet away from the basket. Like I said, it's a little more flexible than the blue one, but really otherwise they are the same. This is a D-line putter, a little bit different plastic. But a Discmania Psycho 2 putter. This has been in my bag for a while, but not even close to as long as the blue one. And then finally, this is an Innova company, and from now on, all of the discs are going to be Innova discs. That's just what I do. They don't pay me to do that. I don't think they know I exist, but I just stick to one company, and that's Innova. And this is another putter, a little more overstable, can throw this into the wind a little bit more. Once again, for me as an amateur at my level, probably out to about 180 feet into the wind is probably where I feel safe with this. And that's, once again, a Star AVR 3 from Innova. So let's go to, I don't know what that screeching is in the background. It wasn't doing it until the last few minutes. I'm not sure what it is. So let's go to my mid-ranges. These are discs that I can throw somewhere between about 230, 220 up to about 280. And I will start with this disc right here. This is a relatively new disc to my bag. I just got this disc in January and already it's in my bag. And it's 177 gram. It's a Casey Rock. Got this at a tournament down in North Fort Myers where I played very well. And this is a disc that I will throw from a standstill. I'll one-step it, I'll run up with it, and depending, that could be anywhere from 220 feet out to about 280 feet. It's a little overstable, so I don't mind throwing it into the wind, but if you're playing in my group, you're probably going to see me throw this disc quite a bit. Another disc that's similar to this, and let me get it out, it's kind of stuck in here, is this disc. It's the same disc as this one, just not as overstable. Really have to watch when I throw this because the wind could take it, could flip it over. Once and again, I'm not going to get into the terminology, but this is another, I'm not sure if it's a DX or KC Rock, but it's definitely a Rock from Innova. And I can throw this out into 280 feet. In fact, just 2 days ago on a basket down at Maximo, there's a basket that's 278 feet away from the tee, and I parked it with this disc. Great throw. Very, very happy about that. Put it to about 7 feet, something like that, with this disc right here. And once again, though, I wouldn't want to throw this into a strong wind because it might get a little crazy, go the wrong direction. But this stamp is very interesting. This is from the 2013 Fun and Sun tournament over at Cliff Stevens, which isn't too far from where I live now. And what I remember about that was the first tournament where I ended up being on the lead card in intermediate. And what I remember about that is that it's still a very special day for me because I met some great guys that day for the first time. My friend Cameron and Cody O'Neill and Lau Fisher, who ended up winning. Lau, great guy too, all three of those guys. And then my other good friend who runs the disc golf store called Local Route here in Clearwater. His name is Trevor. We were all in this group together. It would be coming up on 7 years ago. It seems like yesterday. Well, this disc is from that tournament, and it's crazy that all these years later, this disc is in my bag, and I throw it. It was a very special day, and that tournament gave me a lot of confidence in my game finishing as well as I did that day. So that's what that stamp is. I got that from playing in the tournament, once again, Cliff Stevens Park, back in April 2013. This is another rock, even though it looks much different than those other ones. This is in a different plastic called Champ Plastic, and this is a Rock 3. I'm not going to get into what that means, but it's essentially the same disc as those two white ones that I just showed you. This is really an overstable disc for me. For professionals, no. For me, yes. A little harder to throw, but I know this disc, I can throw it into the wind, and it's going to go maybe, I don't know, 250 maybe, something like that. And I wouldn't say I throw it a lot. It's just specific circumstances. Maybe like basket number 3 at Taylor Lake Park, which is a backhand lefty hole to the right, and this wants to go to the right, so that really works on that particular basket. But this is our green Champ Rock 3, and this is from the Southeastern Amateur Championship in Orlando, Labor Day weekend 2014. So another old disc in my bag, although this disc just got put in my bag because I lost the twin of this. I forget where I lost it. I put it in the water somewhere. But this was the replacement disc, absolutely the same thing. And in fact, I have another disc exactly like this. Same green, I don't think it's the same stamp, same plastic, same color, same weight. There you go. The next disc that I'm going to talk about is a relatively new one. This was suggested to me by my friend Trevor, who runs the Local Route disc golf store here in Clearwater. I was looking for something, we'll get to the Cobras in a second, something a little easier to throw than a rock, but a little bit more, reliable in the wind, something in there, and he suggested this Lion. And I've thrown it a few times. Right now it's not much different than a rock to me, but I do like how it has a lower profile than the rock, and I really like the grip on it. So I'm thinking eventually it's going to show up in my bag. But right now I'm just kind of playing around with it a little bit. In fact, I played this past weekend in a tournament 3 rounds. I don't know if I threw it at all, but I did have it in my bag. I just need to practice with it more. And I have at least one other one that I can mess around with and see if it's going to find a place in my game or not. But as you can see, it's an Innova Lion. It's DX plastic. It's 176 grams. And you should know disc golf discs can run anywhere from, well down into the 140s and 130s now. But generally, most people throw 150 grams up to 180 grams, somewhere in that range. And this one is 176 grams. And if you're wondering what that is in pounds, it's like, what is it, like 0.35 pounds or something like that. So there you go. DX Line, a relatively new disc for Innova. That's my understanding anyway. Okay. Next, Cobras. My favorite disc. Has been for several years, and I carry 4 of them. Why do I carry 4 of them? Because they all kind of do different things. This is a very understable disc, meaning just about in any circumstance, if I throw it, instead of it naturally going to the right, well, left to you, but right to me, it's going to actually go the opposite direction in pretty much any circumstances. And I can throw this out to 150 feet or more, it going the opposite direction. I love this disc, even though it's so flippy and it's so beat up and it has gouges in it and everything. I just have a lot of confidence when I have this Cobra in my hand. So there you go. Next, another one not quite as understable, meaning it doesn't want to quite go as far to the left as the yellow one does, but about the same distance. 260, 270, something like that. This blue one, getting more stable, wanting to fly more straight, but I still wouldn't want to throw this into the wind. But these are all 180 grams. It's DX plastic. Like I said, I've been throwing these Cobras for years, and I'm one of the only people. I hardly ever see anybody else throwing Cobras. Why that is, I don't know, because they're a great mid-range disc. They have a lot of qualities of a fairway driver. It's a low profile, which means if there's no wind, it can really fly far if you get height on it. And I just love them, and I know I'll always carry them in my bag, and I carry about 4 because they all kind of do different things. And then this is a relatively new Cobra, 180 gram DX Cobra, that I put in my bag maybe, I don't know, a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And it's slowly, because I've been throwing it, it's slowly getting beat in, so it's not as stable as it was when it was new. But it's still in there. But I know that I've already talked to Trevor. I'm going to be getting some more DX Cobras within the next 5 days, new ones. Because what I do is, it's kind of an assembly line, is the disc gets so worn out, you take one out and you put another one in. So I'm in the process of doing that, especially since I've been playing so much so far in 2020. So that's another Cobra that I throw quite a bit. In fact, I parked basket number 5 in the 8th position at Taylor on Saturday during a tournament, something that I was not really trying to do, but I did, and I did it with this disc, and I think that's the first time I've ever twoed that basket in a tournament. So there you go. Next, okay, put that down here. Let me just tell you a little bit more about Unfound before I move on. Unfound is 3.5 years old. We've covered over 160 disappearances since the program got started in September of 2016. I started it by myself, but I've been so fortunate over the last 3 years to bring on a group of people that are very special to me. The time they give to the program as volunteers, they work so hard, and they care so much about the program that it really cannot even be, I think, put into words. First, there was my assistant Emily, who is responsible for finding guests for the program. She's not the only one that does that, but that's her primary responsibility. She does such a great job of it. She's been with me since May of 2017, I believe. Next was Cherie, who is kind of an overseer of the program. She serves as an advisor to me. She works on some special projects, going to find people to talk to, maybe instead a family member, maybe even suspects possibly. She fills out Freedom of Information Act requests for the program, and she's become a really good friend of mine. She works so hard for the program. She oversees the YouTube shows that I do, the Wednesday night, I'll get to that in a second, the Wednesday night live show on YouTube, and then also the think tank that we do on Sunday nights. I'll mention those in a second. Then there is Carrie and Heather. Their primary responsibilities are overseeing the discussion group, because there's like 6,800 people in there, so they make sure everybody plays nice. When I can't do it, they're doing it, and they do such a good job, and they have full discretion. I just, they don't have to virtually come to me with anything. If they think somebody is misbehaving, the comment will get deleted. They can kick people out. It's totally under control, and I trust both of them 100%. And it's great to have them on board. And they also are members of the think tank. They also are very helpful when we have discussions about cases and throwing around theories. They're also very helpful in that. And Carrie specifically, she has a lot of experience with law enforcement, 911, 911 operator, and so she can give me a lot of insight regarding that aspect of what we do here at Unfound. Next is Eric Grabowski. He was originally a guest back in 2017, but now he's on the team. He's a special projects type of guy, and he in 2019 he worked very hard to get some information on a case that we're looking at, and he's also a professor. He actually has his doctorate, and he's a professor. I don't know if I want to name where he's a professor at, but he's also from Western Pennsylvania like I am. He went to the same college that I did, although I was there first, showing my age. And so I've met him a few times when I've been in Western Pennsylvania, and he's been there. We've gotten together. He's a good guy, so he's also on the team. And then finally, the newest member is Natasha, and she is responsible for everything on YouTube. She's been updating some of the videos, putting new music to the old episodes that had copywritten music back when I started. Now she's updated to the new music. And she just oversees everything regarding YouTube, and also regarding the website that we're still in the process of working on. But she's just come on within the last 2 months. She's had a great effect on YouTube, updating it, looking at the statistics, and I really, there's been such a great improvement on YouTube, and I have to thank her for that. As far as the program, it comes out every Friday on a variety of places at 2 p.m. Eastern, on iTunes, Podomatic, Spotify. We have a new place that we are now at called Deezer, D-E-Z-E-R, which I've never heard before, but I guess it's popular. And like I said, on Wednesday nights we do the YouTube live show where I host the show, and you can ask me questions. I talk about stuff regarding true crime, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And for premium Patreon supporters, we do a think tank where we talk about the disappearance from that week. It's a very small group, maybe 9, 10, 11 people, and we discuss the intricacies of the disappearance that week. However, to be in the think tank on Sunday nights, you have to be a Patreon member at the $12 a month level or above. However, we do have $2 and $5 levels as well. And for that, you get free ebooks that I've written regarding disappearances. You also get access to all of the blogs that I've written on most of Unfound's disappearances. You get that automatically. So if you were to sign up at the $2, $5 a month level, you automatically have like 160 blogs or something like that to read. And it's a lot of, and the average length is about 3,000 words. It's a lot of reading. You get kind of inside my head. I talk about the case, the disappearance, but I also talk about missing persons theory, which I know a lot of people are into as well. Patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. We're on Facebook, the discussion group and the page. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. Where else are we? Of course, YouTube, and probably some other places will come to mind. But it's a popular program, and I enjoy doing it. It is an obsession of mine. And let's get back to the discs. Next, I'm going to talk about the mid-range, or not mid-range, fairway drivers now. And that is these four. These are all Leopard 3s, not regular Leopards, but Leopard 3s. I'm not going to get into why they have a 3 at the end. But I also carry 4 of these, just like I do the Cobras, and it's pretty much the same reason. You have this orange one that's very, once again, what we call it is flippy, meaning it doesn't naturally want to go to the right. As me as a left-hand backhand guy, my discs want to go to the right. This one will go out and then go to the left. And I threw probably one of the greatest shots in my tournament life this past weekend on Picnic Islands #1, which is a very difficult if you're a lefty backhander like I am, because the water is right there. And I managed to flip this over just right and rode down the out of bounds line, rode, curving the what we would call the wrong direction, but it was the right direction, and landed safely about 310 feet down there, about 2 feet inbounds. I could not have placed the disc any better, and it was because of this disc. And it's 163 gram Leopard 3, and the weight is really why it's so flippy that it wants to go the other direction. Love this disc. You just can't throw it into the wind or you're going to get into some problems. But I will forever think of this disc as a disc, where I threw one of the best shots of my tournament career on that particular basket. Very happy about that. Took a 3, which is a real bonus. You'd have to be there to see it. So there you go, Leopard 3. Next disc is another Leopard 3. It's 168 grams. It's a little more stable, but once again, you have to be a little careful in the wind. The reason that this disc has this stamp is because for some reason there was a mistake or there's a blemish. In fact, I can see something right here. There was something wrong with the plastic. It wasn't all yellow. There's little specks or something in it. So it's kind of blemished. So they sometimes sell these at a discount, and that's what that F2 means. Factory second is what they call it. And I got this disc, and it flies fine. It's great. Just has some imperfections I can see in the plastic, and I don't care about that stuff. So this is another Leopard 3, 168 grams star plastic from Innova. Another one, 175 grams, so we're a little heavier. Another star Leopard 3. This is a little more stable. And I love this disc. Love these Leopard 3s. Really, really loving them right now. And another disc from Innova. And like I said, except for those 2 Discmania discs, this is the only company I throw, just because I think it's just easier for me to stick to one company. And then finally another Leopard 3. This is the Champion plastic, just like I showed you this rock before, this clear plastic, same thing. And it's a Leopard 3, but it's overstable, which means in most cases it's going to go to the right. And I throw these Leopard 3s 310, 320, depending, just depends. So this is better for the wind, and that's why I have 4 of them, because you just never know. You never know what kind of shot you're going to have to throw on the course. You have to gauge where the trees are, what the wind is doing, elevation, everything like that. So it's good to have a variety of the same disc that do different things. Next, these are 2 overstable discs for me. First of all, a Star TL. This is kind of like a Leopard 3, but more overstable. It'd probably have to be a pretty strong wind to get this to fly straight for me. But it's a very reliable hyzer disc, out to probably like 280 to 300 feet, something like that if I threw it right. I threw it on a basket this past weekend, and it did not quite go the way I wanted. I really shorted it. It was really ugly. But this is what this disc is meant for, and it's a Star TL. Love TLs, and that's why I carry them. It feels really good, for my hand. Feel very comfortable with this disc. Even more overstable, which means it's going to even go more harder to the right for me, is a Star T-Bird. I just put this in my bag yesterday because on Saturday, I lost a purple one of these in the water at Taylor, unfortunately. Took a 5 on that basket. That was bad. But this is a Star T-Bird, 170 grams, not quite max weight at 175, 170. And this is a Avery Jenkins World Champion 2009 disc. You can see that right there. Very popular disc. T-Bird's one of those popular discs of all time. And so we go to, I keep saying these are like my favorite discs, but every one of them has its purpose, and they wouldn't be in my bag if I didn't love them. These are Sidewinders. I remember the first time I got put onto Sidewinders must have been 2015, 2014. There's a guy named Jim. I was over at the Taylor Park course, and he was over there, and we were talking, and I asked him what he was throwing. He told me about Sidewinders. So I was like, well, I've heard of them, but I've never thrown them. And as soon as I started throwing them, they were automatically great. And so I've thrown them ever since, and I've lost some, so I continue to have to get more and recycle them, cycle them through. But this one is 166 gram, very flippy disc. You would not want to throw this into the wind. This thing, for the most part, anytime I throw it, downwind, upwind, sidewind, whatever, it's going to go out and it's going to go like that. It's not want to go naturally to the right. It's going to want to go to the left. But I can put it way up there, and it'll just keep gliding to the left. And for my purposes, a backhand left-hander, I need that because my opinion is there is a right-hand backhand bias in many courses out there, and you probably don't realize that until you try to start throwing left-hand, and I'm just naturally athletically left-handed. So I need discs that go the opposite direction to keep up with right-hand backhand players. 166 grams, Star Plastic, very beat. This is a used disc. I bought it used. That's why all the scribbling's on the back. And it's very beat, and I love it. Could be a roller disc for me maybe one of these days if I ever practice them. Next disc. This is another one of those factory seconds, just like the greenish-yellow Leopard 3. And this is another Sidewinder. It is, how many grams? I don't know if I can see this. 100 and... Man, what is it? I can't see. It's really faded. I'm going to guess it's not max weight, but it can be flippy. Not as flippy as the white one, though, but I can throw this at least a long way for me. My back's distance, 360, 370. That's about it. The pros can throw 500, and a lot of the advanced guys I play with can throw like 430, 440. But, you know, it's all about control. Being able to throw a little distance, but about control. And this is a good disc for me, and just have to watch the wind with it. But really can't remember how much I threw it, though, this past weekend at the tournament I was at. But this is another Sidewinder, even though it doesn't say it on it. This is another Sidewinder. Next, probably the disc I threw the most this past weekend. This is just a regular run-of-the-mill 175 gram Star Sidewinder. Nothing special about it. I think I bought it at the end of this past year, so it's been thrown quite a bit. It's getting broken in a little bit, and I can throw this once again a long way for me. I have a lot of trust in this disc, but nothing special about it. Not really that. It's a little beat in, but it's just almost right off the rack, and I throw it a lot. I threw it, for example, I threw it on number 5 at Maximo this weekend and took a 3, I think, for the first time ever on that basket in a tournament. Threw it out there real nice and low, turned to the right, hit the fence up by where the boats are, flicked it around the tree, parked it for a 3. Easiest 3 I probably have ever taken on that, even in practice, and it was really nice to do that in a tournament. So there you go. Just a regular old Star Sidewinder, 175 grams. Now, this is supposed to be the same disc as this, but I have a story for you. I bought this disc back in August of 2019 from my buddy Trevor, who once again runs the store, the local route store here in Clearwater. I bought this disc along with 3 other yellow discs like this, but the only difference was that the writing was all different. This is red, white, and blue. One had black. One had like purplish and pink lettering, and I forget the other one. The other one might have been red or something. I can't remember. But otherwise they were all the same disc, same weight, same plastic, same color, except this, the only thing that was different. Then I took them out to throw them. Those 3 others flew exactly the same. This one is overstable. I can't even begin, for a Sidewinder, I can't even begin to explain it. And I've been throwing it since August last year, so 6 months ago, and it's still overstable for me. Still. Have never flipped this disc over anywhere, throwing into the wind at anything. And I think the reason, if you can see this, even though they're the same disc, as you will notice, this one is very smooth, going from the middle out to the edge. This one, there is a pronounced ridge that goes in and kind of goes up and then down again. And I think maybe, I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but I can see it here, that these 2 discs, although they both say Sidewinder, the profile of them is definitely different. And I think that's what makes this one much more overstable. But I found it it's my bag. I parked, although I ended up taking a 4 because I ran the putt. I parked number 18 at Picnic Island up the hill on the mound with this disc this past weekend, and I was really happy about that. Although, like I said, it was really windy. I ran the putt. Putt went way by, threw it back up, took a 4, but that was fine. I wasn't too mad about it. I was just happy about the drive, how close I got. But 2 discs that say they're the same, but they're not. Sometimes you run into that with Innova discs. I don't know the process, how these things are made or anything, but there must have been something that went on in the creation of this disc that made it different than all the other Sidewinders, because it is unique. So there you go. Almost to the end here. What are we going to talk about now? All right, we got 4 left. Let's go with the Valkyrie next. This is a disc that used to be a little overstable for me, but I got a rude awakening this weekend when I threw this into the wind on number 8 at Maximo, and it flattened out. What I'm trying to do is throw this big hyzer and park the basket way down in the corner there. Instead, this thing flew almost arrow straight. And never did I think that was going to happen, but I must have got all of it, and I ended up taking a 4 instead of what I was expecting, a 2 or a 3 at the least. So that ticked me off a little bit. But I still like this disc. Gonna have to keep an eye on it. Maybe it's getting broken in and it's not as good into the wind. Once again, for pros that never throw Valkyrie into the wind because they're too powerful. For me, though, it works well. This is a 175 gram Star Valkyrie. And this is from the Moccasin Lake Open from 2019. So that was just back in November, like 3 months ago. And so it went right into my bag. I have a yellow one that's also like it. I also have 2 Champ, the clear plastic that I've shown you already. I have 2 in Champ plastic in this disc as well, in this kind of disc as well, that maybe eventually make it into my bag. We'll just have to see. Next, the Turn. I remember when these came out. It must have been 2013. It seems 2013, 2014. I remember getting a couple, and they were so overstable at that time. Now these days, these are a distance driver that I can throw pretty flat, just can't throw them into the wind, but they want to glide for a long time. And in fact, the last basket I played on Sunday at Picnic Island, I threw it off of number 2's tee and just completely laced it. Completely laced it. And then I threw that blue T-Bird up close, missed the putt from 12 feet. Would have had a birdie on a 500 some foot hole, missed the putt from 12 feet. But this disc started off good off the tee, and I also threw it on number, what is that, 3, 4, number 5 on Picnic Island, well, and completely laced it there too. So this is slowly working its way. I'm throwing it more and more, and it should fly, theoretically, scientifically, it should fly farther than the Sidewinders. So I'm hoping that eventually happens as I work on my form and become more comfortable with it. Star Turn, just regular old white, 175 grams. Nothing special about it. Down to our 2 last discs. Destroyer. This is a long-range disc. You'll see a lot of pros throw this for distance, 500 feet. You know, they really want to fly. And but for me, it's very overstable. But I keep it in my bag as a wind disc for distance. And it's a Star Destroyer. Paul Macbeth, when he was still with Innova, at that time, is 4-time champion destroyer. And I'm not even sure what weight. Yeah, it says 175 grams. Once again, in Star. I like the Star plastic the best. It's the best all-around plastic, I think, if it gets wet. And it'll keep its form even if you hit it off of trees and things. It's just, one of these discs is what, $18, something like that. As long as you don't lose them, you know, it's good. You start losing them, then it can get a little expensive. But I'm telling you, disc golf is a fairly cheap sport to play. It's certainly cheaper than drag racing, which is what I used to do in the 90s. So there you go. Star Destroyer, 175 grams. And finally, Champ Firebird. This is the most overstable disc in my bag, as it usually is for most people. And I don't backhand this too much. I'm not really much of a forehand flick guy, but this is the disc I use when I need that. For example, on Maximo number 4, which is only 210 feet, but it goes directly to the left, so I really need something that gets to the left fast. And so I will flick this, and I flick this so well that I actually had a birdie putt from about 30 feet on number 4 at the tournament this week. I missed a putt. I'm not going to get too upset about missing a 30-footer, but to even have the chance at a birdie on that, it must mean I did something right with my flick. And I also use this as an approach disc sometimes, like I did on the next basket, number 5, to get around a tree, to get a 3 on the very difficult number 5. 168 grams, and I am going to be working more on my flicks, so I'm going to be getting more of these discs to practice with out in the field. This is a champion Firebird, 12-time Ken Climo, probably the best guy to ever play the game back in the 90s into the 2000s. He's a couple years older than I am. This is his 12-time world champion Ken Climo champion Firebird. So there you go. As far as the rest of this stuff, I have a, just put this in my bag because I forgot I had it. This is a disc golf retriever. You unwind this string, you throw this pink part out into the water, you pull it in, and it'll grab a disc off the bottom of a pond or a lake. But like I said, as you can see, it's just new. I forgot I had it, but it's now in my bag. And over here, I have a pole that extends. I have another one that's longer than this that's out in my car. But this is another pole that I have that I got from a tournament. It's very nice, just not quite as long, but it stows a little better. And so this is goes in my bag on this side. Let me show you my bag. As you can see, this is from a, let me set this back up. And I got some minis to mark your discs right here. But this is a Grip bag. Grip is probably one of the best known companies for making disc golf bags. These bags new are very expensive, very. And I've had this bag since 2013. I bought this off a friend of mine, although I'm not going to name drop. But I bought it off of him. He gave me a very nice deal on it, and I think he's gone through like 10 different disc golf bags since then. I'm joking. You know who you are. And but I've had this since 2013, and it's been good enough for me. There you go. Probably, unless something really, really bad happens to this bag, like I don't know what could happen to it, but I'll probably just use this bag for the rest of my life, and I have no problem with that. And then finally, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I use this card here from Bag Boy. It's funny that, I don't know if you can see it, but when I started using this card, hardly anybody were using cards back in, I got this at the end of 2014, and now everybody has carts, but they're Zuka carts. It's a new company. They're 2-wheel, well, this is 4-wheel, but this is actually made for, let me see if I can move this around a little bit better, show you to you. You can see it. This is actually a ball golf cart that you lay the clubs up, you strap them in, but I managed to be able to hang my bag on this, and of course there's an umbrella post here that I will duct tape an umbrella there, either when it's really, really sunny to protect my precious skin, or if it's raining, of course. You got a compartment here, you got a compartment here. It's fantastic. I got it at the end of 2014 at a discount because the place I was buying it was going out of business. And it's been great, and it was a little weird to be ahead of the curve. You know, back then, 2013, oh, real disc golfers carry their bags. No, everybody's using a cart. Go figure. But those are all my discs. That's my bag. That's my cart. And once again, I wanted to do this because give many of the listeners who already know about Unfound a little behind the scenes. I'll tell a couple stories from disc golf, my disc golf life, which is my other obsession. I also want to do this because I think it's a great way to market the sport through my program, through the YouTube channel with all of the subscribers. And also, I think it's a good way for new people to find out about the sport. And for the listeners who have children, or maybe they themselves are looking for a new sport to do outside, that is cheap, and you can do it as a group. I think disc golf is a great choice. I really believe that it is. So I thank you for watching this video, and I thank you if you are already an Unfound listener. I appreciate you listening to the program when they come out, the episodes every Friday, and we take great pride in, we do the program to solve cases. We're not in it for, it's not necessarily fun, it's not entertainment, we don't do it to be famous, we don't do it because we need attention, we don't do it for the advertising or anything else. Myself and my assistants, we are involved in this because we want to solve missing persons cases. And thank you for watching to my What's in Ed Dentzel's Disc Golf Bag.